where an 18-year-old has been identified as the suspect in a shooting that left 8 dead and dozens injured in Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia. Police named Jesse Van Rootselaar as the shooter, who died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the scene. The attack began at a nearby home where Van Rootselaar killed her mother and stepbrother before heading to Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, where 6 people were killed and at least 25 others were injured. Authorities say Van Rootselaar had a history of mental health issues, and though she had a gun license in the past, it had expired. Canadian officials have vowed full support for the victims and their families. Let's listen in to what the British Columbia Royal Canadian Mounted Police Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald had to say.
Suspect has been identified as 18-year-old Jesse Van Rootselaar, who is a resident of Tumbler Ridge. 2 firearms, a long gun and a modified handgun, were recovered by responding officers. Determining the origin of these firearms and what role they played in the shooting remains a significant part of the active and ongoing investigation.
Matthew Vadum joins us once again to discuss this. This, of course, is a hugely tragic incident which has happened over the past 24 hours. Canada, not usually a place that's subjected to school shootings, but this one, 6 people killed in British Columbia. What does this say about Canada's gun laws? Do you think it will be hasty to impose legislation following this devastating event? Matthew, how do you think this is going to play out?
I have no doubt that the Prime Minister of Canada, Mark Carney, who is a leftist through and through, is going to push for stronger gun control in Canada, which already has very tough gun laws. But, you know, people on the left always use this as an opportunity to take away guns from law-abiding citizens who need them to defend themselves and to hunt. So there's no doubt that after, a couple of days, if they haven't already, the Liberal Party in Canada is going to demand even stricter gun control, maybe even gun confiscation. This is what they always do after a highly publicized murder. The scale of this mass killing, though, is unprecedented for Canada. This doesn't happen. They don't have school shootings in Canada the way we do in the United States. And I think that a lot of people in Canada are, and I know a lot of people in Canada, I have family in Canada, and I know that they are shocked that this took place in British Columbia, which is the westernmost province on the Pacific Ocean, just north of Seattle in Washington State. And it's between Washington State and Alaska. And this sort of thing sends shockwaves through Canada, and I'm sure that there will be political repercussions. One of the things that's not being reported, or at least is being reported in a coded way, is that this was a man who was a mentally disturbed man who carried out these killings. They keep saying that a transgender woman did that, and using the pronoun she and her to refer to this person, but this was a mentally disturbed man who identifies as a woman who carried out this killing. And these trans killings, shooting sprees, have become distressingly commonplace in the United States.
Has it happened once? How many times has this happened? How frequent is this? I'm aware of one that's occurred in the United States.
Well, there's been a few trans killings, inspired killings or caused killings. There was the one in Nashville, Tennessee.
That's the one I know of. Yes.
Right, and that woman who identifies as a man went in and shot up a school, and was a mentally disturbed transgender identifying person, and lots of others have been. I can't give you the examples off the top of my head, but there have been other violent acts perpetrated by transgender people who, really they need care. They don't need, they don't need, to have guns and to go on shooting sprees to kill people. And it's just unfortunate that our culture right now tends to pander to them instead of giving them the help that they really need in order to lead, lives that are as close to normal as possible. But obviously, being transgender, you have some psychiatric, they generally have psychiatric issues to begin with if they reject their own sexuality, right?
1 in 50 mass school shootings in the United States since 2012 involved a person identified as transgender in a credible report.
Well, for school shootings, sure, but there have been other acts of violence, perpetrated by transgender identifying individuals, even if they weren't school shootings. School shootings are distressingly common enough in the United States. They are not common in Canada, but I guess Canada tends to adopt American trends eventually. So it was just a matter of time. It was bound to happen eventually, unfortunately.
Matthew Vadum, thank you so much for joining us here on NewsX World and taking the time. We now turn over to Eastern Europe for our next story, and reports suggest that the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv has come under